it's a conversation about focus, really. As soon as you focus all the energy, you can get so much more done. Your depth is so much greater. Your achievements are greater. Your income is, like, everything's better.
He was the Matrix. That's how plugged in this guy was. And he jumped into the ocean, forgot that his phone was in his pocket. And the first day, he was losing it.
She's hired by Linus, the nerdy one, to take photographs of their amazing house in Martha's Vineyard to sell. And she's like, "What shots do you want?" And he's like, "All of them." And she's like, then she looks at him really slow and pensively. And she's like, sometimes there's just more. It doesn't mean they're all good.
When it does come to money, though, I think that there's 4 habits of financial freedom. So the first habit is... Hi, I'm Dave Conway, and I'm here with my wife, Jacqueline. Welcome to the 30-Day Year. On this podcast, we're sharing stories, ideas, and philosophies to show you what it takes to turn your annual income into your monthly income. I've learned that the first step to creating a 30-day year is entertaining new ideas that might at first appear strange or even laughable. But stick with us as we reveal that this idea is a very real way to build success. Our plan is to spark curiosity into what you're capable of achieving by exploring ideas around freedom, contribution, work, life, everything. The content may even disturb your perception of life a bit too, which we hope it does. This podcast is not about us, it's all about you. So sit back, relax, and come in with an open mind. Welcome to the 30-Day Year.
I don't know how this one's going to go today. I think I might disrupt some things, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so the theme is pulling from one of our events, Freedom Mastermind. We just had one in Montreal, and it was a very powerful event. And every time we attend this event and plan it, it gets me thinking about just the concept of freedom. What is it really? What is it to other people? Because I think people have their own definitions. I've heard you ask people in the audience, what is freedom to you? And you hear lots of different things, typically connected to money. But after I reflect on it, I think it's so much deeper than just money. There's a lot going on when it really comes to freedom. And so I want to dive into that today.
So you want to talk about freedom?
I do. I want to get into freedom.
Let's do it.
So I think one of the most fun ways to start is think about times in your life when you felt free. Because I believe that freedom's like a sensation. You can sense it. It's not conscious, it's felt. I don't know, it's in the sub,
mental.
Right? It's mental. Yeah. So for example, when I got my driver's license, I felt so free. I was driving around in my family's Pontiac 6000, and I was the queen of the world. I was I am free. I can go wherever I want. I can go to my friend's place. I can go do this, whatever. It felt so free. Because up until that point, right, you're bound by your parents driving you somewhere, right? And you always have to ask, oh, can you take me here? And then all of a sudden you get a key and you're awesome. I can just go wherever I want. This is so cool. So I remember feeling super free from that. I remember feeling free when we got married. I felt like that was you said it to me actually, and I agreed with you. I was yeah, I feel the same way, that it's almost this, we can start the next part of our lives. We made this big decision to get married and be together. Now we're kind of free to just go off and create. That's kind of how it felt to me.
If you're raised Catholic your whole life and then you get married, it's
sure, okay, there's that too. There's that too. The other thing I felt free was we had a large debt for a time, and I remember in 2019? Yes. 2018, we paid it off. Mm. We got rid of this house. We were you were hoarding houses. And then we were accumulating a bit of debt because you would start a new coaching business. You were investing a lot into that and into yourself. And so I remember we kind of made this decision. Let's get rid of this. We don't need it anymore. We have no plans to keep it long term. So why not just make the decision now to get rid of it? And when we did, we paid off that debt. We took the girls to Disney. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I felt very free in that moment. And then when I think of my most recent moment of feeling free, it was when we were in New York City. It was my birthday, took me to New York, which was awesome. And I remember just walking around Central Park, and I was man, this place is free. I get people go there to express themselves and do what they want. You know what I mean? It's just free. And it's a symbol of freedom too. Like there's the Freedom Tower, there's the Statue of Liberty. Like those things represent freedom. And you can feel it. You can feel it in the air.
People are free to express there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's got, I mean, there's downfalls there too. Like it's busy, it's hectic, whatever. But there is definitely that sense. You can feel it. People are free there. So I think it's this feeling, it's a feeling, it's like a sensation. And it's not just as simple as saying like, oh, when I make X number of dollars, when I hit a 30-day year, I'm going to be free. I think there's a big error in that. And there's like missing information in that. I even remember the day you and I discovered we had hit our first 30-day year. It was like 6 or 8 weeks later.
Yeah.
We didn't even know. And it affected us like in zero way, which is very interesting. It didn't mean the work stopped. It didn't mean the growth stopped. It didn't mean anything really. We just kept going. We kept going for the next thing. So it's not so much you get to the end and the finish line and then it's all figured out, right? It's like you progress, you keep growing through the whole thing. It's just a constant journey, a constant unfoldment. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on freedom?
Well, I remember one time when I was a carpenter and I was living in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I used to have to take the bus to work. And on the bus used to go by, a little bit of a rougher neighborhood. And I used to see homeless people on the side of the road, on the streets. And I used to remember one time looking out the window at them thinking, that's freedom right there.
Really?
Like, well, yeah, they're free. They had no responsibility. They were just cracking on, moving around. Didn't have to go to work. I was on a bus going to a job I didn't want to do. Like those guys seemed like they were living the best life.
Right. I get what you're saying there. Like certainly like if you are like, oh, I'm kind of in the rat race or the hamster wheel. Like I have to keep working to keep everything going. I'm not just free to say I'm not going to work today. I have to go to work to like keep things going. Whereas those guys have just chosen like, screw that. I'm just gonna be homeless, I guess, instead. But that's an interesting perspective. I've never
I was very jealous of them.
You were jealous of
them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So
I've talked to a lot of people about what they want and thousands and thousands of people. And I remember it was probably around maybe after my 1,000th conversation, like my 1,000th coaching call, where I started to really discover that I think at the root of everything, people are actually seeking freedom. Mm-hmm. And we're seeking freedom in money. We think that when we have the money, then we'll be free. Maybe when we have the partner, then we'll be free. Maybe when we don't have the partner, then we'll be free.
Right.
We're always in that search for freedom. And I would say that we're designed to pursue it or designed to desire it as people, as human beings. And I'd say probably 100% of people, I would say that 100% of people, if their hardware's working right, do desire freedom. But the shocking truth is that probably less than 1% actually are free. Mm. And I personally believe that freedom is mental. And I think it's found in detachment. So when we're attached to something, we are now a slave to that something. Mm. When we're detached, we're free. Mm-hmm. And if someone was to ask me, like, what's your definition of freedom? I would say the ability to express yourself. Like if you go into a room of people and you don't feel safe to express yourself in that room, you're not going to. So you're probably not going to enjoy that social experience. If you go into a car dealership and there's a certain car that you'd like, so it's like you want to express yourself through that car, but maybe you don't have enough money to buy it at that moment, then you're going to suppress that desire and you're going to suppress that expression. Mm-hmm. And I think many of us in society, maybe all of us, have been conditioned to suppress ourselves, suppress our desires, and therefore not many people really ever actually experience freedom in their life. Some people do drugs for it.
Right.
Like people will do drugs to experience freedom, just to let go. I've been out at social events, just like I'm sure you have and all the listeners have, where you're out and there's the person in the room that was quite reserved, and then the more they start to, have some wine, the more they start to express themselves. One time I did a sales call with a woman who was swigging on a big gulp. She had like a pretty big gulp. And in the beginning of the call, she was with the call, And then as the call progressed, she was really like down in this big gulp, and she started getting looser and looser and looser on the call. And I was like, okay. And by the end of the call, she was drunk. Yeah, she was drunk. And I was like, she's free now. She's free now.
She's free now. She's relaxed. Wow, that's interesting too. I have so many good memories of big gulps. Like I had all these flashbacks come to me when you were talking about that. But I never put alcohol in my big gulp. That's never been. That was never something I did. Okay, that's interesting. You threw down some good points here. Freedom is found in detachment. Can you expand on that a little more? What that means? I know it's deep. So, what does that mean?
Yeah. So, detachment is where you have let go. Now, imagine this. Imagine you are hanging on the edge of a building. And you know you're hanging on the edge of a building, but you don't know how big the drop is. You'd have a hell of a time letting go until you knew how far you had to drop. Mm-hmm. Now, many of us have seen like comedy movies where it's like, oh, they're hanging on, then it's like they're actually just 1 inch from the ground or whatever. So in letting go, you have to trust what you're you have to trust. When you let go, you have to trust something. And many of us don't have like a power or a belief system that allows us to let go. That's why we attach.
Attached to, give me more examples. Like attached
to money, attached to a person, attached to a belief system, attached to anything. We attach ourselves to everything. So most of us don't have a power that we can let go to. So we hold on. We hang on to the edge of the building because we don't know how far the fall is, because we don't have any information on how much we're going to drop. So we attach ourselves. So many of us are riddled with fear, and fear is a very suppressive emotion. So you can't experience freedom and fear in the same.
Right. So you're connecting, I guess, attachment to fear. We attach because we're scared.
Yes.
I guess that makes sense.
Can't
if you're on the
go.
side of the building, you're scared, you don't want to let go.
Yeah, like I've done over 10,000 coaching calls. Like there's not that many stories that I haven't heard. Now, obviously, I'll speak with more people doing this work, so I might hear a different story. But generally speaking, most of the stories are the same, have the same themes to all of them. People want something, they want to express something, they want to contribute something into the world, but they're afraid. And they're afraid because they're attached to something. So many people,
like a belief.
Yeah, like a mother wants to start a business, but she's afraid that it'll impact her children negatively. So most of us are really good at suppressing ourselves.
Interesting.
And then therefore our spirit doesn't circulate.
Holds us back.
Yeah.
So from the ideas you just shared, would you say that's like the inspiration when you started Freedom Mastermind? Like when you came up with the idea for that event? Is the intention there to kind of like explore that, like detachment or freedom being the opportunity to express yourself? Would you say that's the real purpose of it?
Yeah, that would be it. Like if we're going to be safe, if we're going to express ourselves, we want to feel safe. So we want to be safe with a power greater than ourselves. That's the premise I'm operating with. That there's a power that has my back. I remember the first time I ever heard the term, the universe has your back. I was like, what the hell? Like, the universe has my back.
Right.
I was like, the universe doesn't have my back. My life is shit. Like, that doesn't appear to be how it is for me. It seems like the universe is a very treacherous place, and the world is kind of treacherous, and people are out to get you. You know, that was some of my experience in the world. So when I heard that concept that the universe has your back, I remember Bob Proctor had as a chapter in his book, You Were Born Rich, called Let Go and Let God. Like you have to learn to let go. I remember at all of his seminars too, he used to give everybody this little poster that's just said, let. And I think if we're going to experience freedom, we have to let ourselves express some of these ideas.
Right. And it will require faith.
Yeah.
So freedom requires faith in order to let go.
Yeah, which is the rarest state of mind on the planet. Fear is the most dominant state of mind on this planet.
Yeah, I would
faith
agree
is
with
the
that.
Rarest.
I want to go a little deeper into, so freedom is an opportunity to express yourself. I totally agree with that. And then when we close that off, we close off the idea, we don't I'm the mother that wants to start the business and I say no because I'm scared about what will happen.
Yeah.
I'm like suppressing that. I'll stop the flow.
Yeah.
It'll
Something
kind
in
of-
you saying that by you playing small, that's better.
Right.
By you suppressing yourself, that's better. There's some conditioning in our society that says that that's true. And it's so interesting because then we idolize all the people that are expressing themselves freely.
Yeah. Or figure it out.
That's right.
There are examples
That's
of
right.
people that have figured it out,
That's
right?
right. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. So on one point, we're great at suppressing ourselves. We could all have a PhD in that, and that's why we get sick mentally and physically as well. And then yet we idolize the people that are out there expressing themselves. Like look at the artists. Like look at how they wear, what they dress. Like think about when people sing. Like how vulnerable can you be? You're just letting that infinitude of yourself out into the world. If a singer-songwriter or an artist, a musical artist, records something, they're expressing that into the world.
Yeah.
And most people are quite terrified to express
Yeah.
who they are into the world, and most people don't even know who they are actually.
So I want to explore something around constraints and expression because I know when it comes to creative work, I actually find constraint can be freeing. Like I find if I'm too open, if we think about like expression now, if we just like go down that lane for a little bit, if I'm like too open where it's like you have lots of time, you have, I don't know, no deadline, you can like create at will. I don't do a lot. I don't get a lot done.
You hear that about Montessori.
What's that?
You hear that about Montessori.
Okay.
I heard that once about it, like that it's like good, because the kids are out there expressing, but then I heard like the kids like set their own like agendas
their own
and stuff,
pace.
and then some of these kids are like just walking around the hallway for an entire year.
Right.
And then they go into like another school system and some of them are behind. I'm not saying exclusive, and I'm just talking gossip here. Like I haven't experienced it outright ourselves. I know that Lily, I would consider her a little bit more advanced when she was in Montessori, when she went into the school system. But I heard that around a little later ages that they are actually behind.
Right. They do need some structure, a
Yeah.
little bit of structure just to
Yeah.
keep them like, don't just ignore the math cart forever. Like you are going to have to learn that just because you have a propensity in this area. Don't ignore that area. So yeah, that's interesting too. So I find
So any
that,
Montessori people, I'm pro Montessori. That's just what I heard.
right. So I think that the constraints can be healthy to find the expression. Does that make sense? Like, for example,
100%.
So for example, I love setting deadlines for things. And the best pressure we create in our world is events. Like when we set the date, it's like, okay, I have to get this done. Like there's no option. All these people rely on me. I need to get it done. And otherwise, it would take me probably 5 times longer to get whatever I had set out to achieve done. Like I did this year. I promised a person on our team that I would deliver a certain piece for her. And I said I'd have it for her, or it would be done, recorded, completed, ready, at least in its first form, its first phase by the time we met. And I did. I delivered it. And I know I wouldn't have done it had I not set that deadline. So I like the constraint. I also like, from my dance background, I always really liked having a certain amount of time, a certain project, and a certain theme, and a certain whatever. And that helped me focus. Like the constraint helped me focus. So it's almost like constraining yourself can, I think, create freedom. It's almost the same idea like around essentialism. You know how I love the idea of essentialism. It's just like the one graphic that I love. It's like the circle and has the arrow pointing off really, really far because it's a conversation about focus, really. As soon as you focus all the energy, you can get so much more done. Your depth is so much greater. Your achievements are greater. Your income is, like, everything's better because you're focused. Whereas if you're the circle that sprays out in every direction, you don't go very far.
I think you're onto something. It's like if you think about the concept of Lent.
Yeah, yeah.
Lent is a constraint.
Yeah,
right?
It's
It is.
Constraint. Yeah, it's you're fasting, right?
Yeah, you're abstaining.
Abstaining, yeah.
Right? So that's like a constraint. It's like,
Yep.
oh, I'm going to go out tonight for supper and I'm not allowed
Right.
to eat sugar. Like that's a constraint.
Right, yeah.
So-
it's like a way to find spiritual freedom in that sense.
Well, yeah, hey, maybe everything's spiritual. I don't know. We'll find out. But I think when you think about like abstinence, so I remember in some of my mentorships, we used to, in one of the programs called Fusion, we used to run a thing called Fusion Lent. And I remember there's this one lady who gave up gossip for Fusion Lent, which
Right.
was 40 days. It wasn't like a religious schedule calendar. We just made
Yeah,
it
it
up
wasn't
ourselves.
timed with Easter, was it? It was
No,
just
it
like
wasn't timed with
okay,
Easter.
okay.
No, it was like before that. So it
Right.
was in January actually. And she gave up gossip
Right.
for Lent. So she put that constraint on herself.
Mm-hmm.
And what unfolded for her in the next 40 days was just, she said it changed her entire life. First off, she started to realize that she was a gossip. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a slave to that habit, to that behavior. And then she started to realize that like the large majority of her friends were gossips.
So it was like feeding itself.
That's right. So
Yeah.
then as she was abstaining, and then she was becoming aware of how much their conversation was gossip based. And then through that process, she started to find out what are the motives behind this, what's really happening. And she discovered that it was a great dissatisfaction. It was like a boredom and a jealousy coming and being expressed. So it wasn't, it was very destructive. And all that came from the constraint. So she found freedom in constraint.
Right. From giving something up.
Yeah, liberated
Letting
her
go.
from, yeah, that's right. She said it changed her entire life. It was one of the most spiritual, if not the most spiritual experiences she ever had in her life.
I believe it. Yeah, it connects back to the letting go too. Like she had to abstain, let go of this bad habit in order to find another level in her consciousness.
Yeah, like we just had a client that had a heart attack and
A young, healthy woman.
very fit. And fitness was such a part of her personality, part of her stress management. And she'd been living like that for over, I think, about 25 years or so, maybe even a little more. And then all of a sudden that was taken away from her. So she has to reinvent herself.
Right.
She has to find another
Right.
channel.
She has to let go of that for a time to
That's right.
discover the next version of
Yeah.
herself through that.
That's right.
Yeah, it can be forced on you sometimes, right? Forced to,
Oh, yeah,
to relearn, right? Like
yeah.
she's forced to slow down now. Like it's like the body is saying, no, you can't push so hard in that area anymore. You got to find it somewhere else. It's interesting.
Yeah, I went to Dominican Republic once with our head of growth, Kevin, and had an awesome suite looking out on the ocean. And there was a gentleman at one of the events that we were attended there, German guy, very, very digital. Like I'd never met anyone like that. He was a young guy, young German, and he was the internet. Like he was the Matrix. Like that's how plugged in this guy was. And he jumped into the ocean, forgot that his phone was in his pocket. And the first day he was losing it. Like he was stressed right out trying to get the phone fixed and all this crap. And eventually on the second day, he started to kind of like it. On the third day, I was talking to this guy and he was like, this is the freest I've felt maybe in my whole life, because the phone wasn't constantly like making cuts into his mind. So we're doing things all the time. And I think if we constrain a little bit, if we include a little constraint into our life, I think we'll find a little more freedom. I think we'll find a little more awareness. And we can start to make some of the changes that we're not even aware we have to make.
Yes, like the focus creates the freedom too. Like I recently stopped offering my branding program. I ran it for 4 or 5 years or something, and I just closed it. And that was letting go. It was an act of letting go, but it gave me more opportunity to focus on things like this podcast, things like the new course we're launching for our clients soon, like all these things that may have gotten parked because my attention was split. Suddenly, I'm more free to think about those things more deeply. So it's not about, I was going to say, it's not about more. It's definitely not about more. It's about better.
Yeah, quality.
Quality. Yeah. Because sometimes there's just more. There's this movie, I thought of this example like a bunch of times, and I think this is where I meant to share it. I was going to share it on one of your Q&As, and I was like, no, I'm not going to share it there. I think it's here I meant to share it.
Share away.
So, have you heard of the movie Sabrina?
Yeah, is she a singer?
No,
Dancer?
she's the chauffeur's
Carpenter?
daughter. Nope.
I don't know her then.
So there's this rich family, Eastern US, very rich billionaires. and they have a chauffeur.
This a movie?
It's a movie.
Oh, okay.
It was originally with Audrey Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart, and then it got remade with Harrison Ford, and I think it's Juliette Binoche.
Okay.
I think.
I don't even know who that is, but
It's okay. She's great. So I watched this movie in the 90s, the remake with like Harrison Ford. So he's the billionaire's son. He's like the new heir of the like empire. And then he has a brother, and the brother's like very charming and like lovable, and everyone loves him. And then Linus is like nerdy and like no one knows what he's about, but he's like a brilliant businessman. Anyways, the chauffeur's daughter, she becomes a photographer, and she's hired by Linus, the nerdy one, to take photographs of their like amazing house in Martha's Vineyard to sell. And she's like, "What shots do you want?" And he's like, "All of them." And she's like, then she like looks at him like really slow and like pensively. And she's like, sometimes there's just more. It doesn't mean they're all good. You choose the ones you want. You have to get selective. And just that one line is like always on my mind. Sometimes there's just more. So I think, yeah, if you do take all the shots, like sure, you'll have them all documented, but only like one or two are actually probably going to be used, right? So it's like this like process of selection that happens. And it's like through the constraint that you find the best possible result. So do you need to take all the shots to find the best possible result? Potentially. Or do you think ahead and then you examine and figure out what you actually want and then you head in that direction? So there's a lot of things to think about. But I love that. Sometimes there's just more. It's not always better.
I read when I was trying to change some of my financial paradigms, I had some pretty bad ones. And I read a book called Profit First. I forget the guy's name, but Profit First. Great book. Mm-hmm. And in it, he talks about constraint. So he talks about, when you're brushing your teeth with the toothpaste and you have a new, is it a bottle of toothpaste or a packet of toothpaste?
A tube, I'd say.
Tube, yeah, tube, mm-hmm. You're right. Mm-hmm. So when you have a new tube of toothpaste, you're pretty generous with the amount of toothpaste that goes on the toothbrush.
Sure, that's true, actually. It comes out. Yeah, easily.
A lot. Yeah. But then when you get down to the bottom, you're like rolling that thing up and squeezing it. And then if you don't have toothpaste, like you're really like, you might even get out a knife and cut it open and and use it. Mm-hmm. So it's like the first 90% of the tube is used fairly liberally. And the last 10% basically gets you the same amount of brushes as the other 90% because you have a constraint now.
Right.
And he said, you can have a lot of creativity that way.
Yeah.
Creativity through constraint, and creativity is expression.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So then when it comes to money and freedom, what are your thoughts on that? Like, does money create freedom? What kind of freedom does it create?
Money is a really interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Money is an idea. So I'm at the place today, and I'm I'll share it here. I'm not sure money is real. Like that's where I'm at today. Mm-hmm. I think the purpose of money is to support ideas when they move into the physical world. So everything that's created needs to be managed. If we don't have our home cleaned, it gets pretty unmanageable. Money buys services. It does two things: buys comfort, and then it buys services. It also expands you beyond your physical presence. So if you can hire somebody to do something for you, now you're omnipresent. You are now having that work done, and you're the one that doesn't have to do the work. And most people we exchange services for money. Now, when it comes to money, though, I think that we do have it wrong. And I've had a lot of clients that think, when they get the money, when they have their first 30-day year, then they'll be free. Well, that hasn't been true.
Right. It's like the arrival fallacy. You think you're going to be you arrive, and then it's like, I am, I don't know, like enlightened now, or I'm like, I've made it, or I've achieved this pinnacle, this idea of achievement or perfection. I don't know what it is, but it's like we have this idea that when we hit it, it's like something will open up. But it's just the process that opens you up. I actually find it more exciting to set the goal than to achieve the goal. Yeah,
it's like when you and I experienced our first 30-day year, we didn't even notice.
Yeah. We're already working on the next thing.
Yeah. So when it does come to money, though, I think that there's 4 habits of financial freedom. So the first habit is the habit of increasing your income, mm-hmm. right? Learn how to increase your income all the time. Like if you are getting better at what you do, your income should reflect that. The second is the habit of saving and investing. So as you earn money, you should be saving, investing that money so you get to experience a thing called compounding. In time, you cannot outwork compound interest. You cannot. Okay, in time, that thing becomes a juggernaut, and you can earn more money outside of work than you do inside of work. Warren Buffett, I don't think he became one of the richest people in the world until his mid to late 60s. And that's because he was compounding for the first 40 years. So the second is habit of saving and investing. The third habit is the habit of generosity or tithing. And when we start to understand that how energy works, that when we release energy, it returns. So all energy returns back to its source of origination. And when we release the money, it comes back. So it's not just good for your actual bank account, which is really strange. It's like paradoxical. Release it and then it returns home, which is interesting. It's also good for the soul. I remember when Charlie Munger said that, as you become very wealthy, it's not a game of getting more wealth. It becomes a game of keeping your sanity, not going insane. Mm-hmm. And then the fourth habit is the habit of debt reduction or tax planning. Mm-hmm. And taxes are debt. So if you owe someone $1 and that person can charge you interest on that dollar, so after a year you owe them $1.10, that's called debt. And taxes are debt because taxes fall into that. If you haven't paid the tax man, he can charge you that money. So the fourth habit is the habit of debt reduction and strategic tax planning. Mm-hmm. So those are the 4 habits of financial freedom.
Yeah, it's true. Like having some money in the bank does create a sense of safety.
Big time.
It does give you this. It does feel good to know. Oh yeah, there's money there.
But it doesn't exclusively. I remember when I got stuck, and this is first world problems. I can't even believe this is coming out of my mouth. I got stuck at earning $250,000 a month, mm-hmm. and it's like, oh, boo-hoo. It's like,
the business was kind of just plateaued at that zone. Yeah.
Because it's not about the money. It's about the expression of yourself. Money is just feedback for 2 things, the quality or the quantity of a service or product that you're rendering. That's it. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. So it's a metric, and it's very trackable. You can track it right down to the penny. So I got stuck at $250,000 a month. And how I knew I was stuck is because, number one, the income wasn't shifting. But the second was I was getting bored.
Yeah.
And it was the first time along this journey that I started to experience a bit of boredom. And I was in that state for, about 12 weeks. And I knew I was in trouble. So what I did was I got on a plane. I flew down to the States, talked to a gentleman, and he very quickly, like within 5 minutes, said, I know what's wrong with you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, tell me. That's why I'm here. He said, you're afraid to lose what you've got. I remember when you were like risking it for the biscuit.
You're a cowboy. You didn't care.
You're a cowboy. You didn't care. Yeah. And also, like in the beginning, I didn't have all that much to lose. Like I was a carbureting $5,000 a month. Like it's not crazy.
Easier to put your chips in.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So unconsciously, it's like fear crept in the back door of my mind.
Right.
And I started getting comfortable, and I started to get fearful of even losing it. So when we say like financial freedom, some of the wealthiest people that I know have the least freedom.
Mental freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Freedom is mental. It does. Some of the freest times in my life, I had very little money.
Interesting. I want to talk about, can I pivot a little bit? Still talking freedom, of course. But I wonder if, when it comes to freedom as well, to your story, right? You were a little scared to kind of risk again. It's like, oh, I've built like a pretty good business. Like, what does risk look like moving forward? That's
right. It's like, oh, we have so much to lose now.
Sure. Because, Napoleon Hill says, money needs to be earned and then it needs to be managed. So then I think about systems. Like there can be a lot of freedom found within systems, repeatable systems per se, right? I mean, if we go back to the conversation about money, it's like, if we want to leverage ourselves, if we want to expand our teams, if we want to have the capacity to stay in that creative state, that creative zone, then you're going to need systems to manage what has been created so that you can continue to create.
Yeah.
Right? So I have found freedom in that.
There is freedom in systems. I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Finding like a process, a way to show others what you know. Like I remember, for example, when we started Conway mentorship, it was actually called Conway Consulting. Your one program was called the One Sale a Day Club. And it was to help people learn how to sell. And the program started, it was kind of like, let's get people in the door. Let's start helping them get results, right? We didn't have anything fancy. Like you had a Zoom account and a Stripe account. Like I don't think you had, we didn't have a portal. We didn't have anything. Mm-hmm. Like let's say, like papers, workbooks, like any of that stuff. And I remember those early days, you would teach your process. You just teach it live. You'd like a couple slides and you would like show people like how to sell and you had a process, right? And then I remember the company went through a big evolution when we figured out that, well, let's systematize that teaching element so that your calls can be more about discussion or reviewing calls and add greater value. So then we systematized that, hired people to help us systematize that, and then that allowed us to leverage you really to do more programming.
We grew. Every time we've ever done that, we've grown.
We've grown because once we had that program sort of operating, then we could actually have the capacity to create another program, which was called Full Control. So then you just created another thing, right? So it was like the system allowed the opening to create more expression. So it's like this.
Let's do a podcast on systems.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can do that. So anyways, I think there's a massive freedom in that.
I think you're right.
Yeah, like being able to take what you've built.
And if the system works.
And if the system
like
works.
If your digestive system isn't working, there's not much freedom in that.
It's terrible. Can't move around very well. It's awful. It's very much not a nice situation. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go deeper on this for myself after this podcast because I really like freedom, like talking about it. It's helping me understand it better. But it sounds like there's freedom. There is freedom in money and knowing how to earn it and manage it. There's freedom in expression.
Yeah.
And giving yourself permission to express.
Yeah.
There's freedom in systems. There's freedom in New York City. Yeah. I'm still working through all the different, like the core elements of freedom. But the idea.
Freedom in health.
There's freedom in health. There's freedom in abstaining in order to let go of something holding you back, like the gossip example. Like freedom can be found in such interesting ways. And I don't know if it boils down to one thing. I thought I was going to disrupt some things, and I don't think I did.
Do you feel more free after doing this podcast? Do you feel more confused?
I'm not confused. I feel like there's more questions to go through. I think there's more to be understood here.
So there's freedom and curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. And I also like what you said about detachment too. Like that's huge. Because even let's say you create a system, there's a certain amount of detachment you need to have in order to like hand that creative piece off to someone else now. You'd have to detach from it, right?
That's right.
Like when you created OSAD and you systematized it, I believe we hired some coaches then too, right? So we had to sort of like give some leeway to those folks to manage some of it so you could create other things, right? So there's always this element of letting go happening too so that you can focus in another area. So
let go and let God, let go and let the system.
Yeah, for sure. So any last thoughts on freedom?
I think it's unique to everybody. I think it depends on what your, how you approach life. I think you can find freedom in many things, but I think at the end of the day, for me personally, I have found freedom in the ability to express myself and to be safe enough that I can express myself. That has been a great freedom.
If you enjoyed this episode, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to receive notifications when new episodes are released. And if you're interested in learning more about our coaching programs and events, please visit us online at conwaymentorship.com. Dave and I truly value our audience and would love to hear from you as well. If you have questions for us about what it's like to create a 30-day year, please email us at hello@conwaymentorship.com. Your submission may turn into a future episode.
Produced at
Sound Lounge by T-Bone.